Good morning, traders. It is Friday, June 28th. Let me just recap real quickly. We've got our new software running, and we updated and changed the data feed on it because it wasn't quite doing what we needed. But the new data feed has got all kinds of noise, pre-market, post-market price spikes, and it's triggering the software to kind of go off and send off these signals. So we're going to disable the alerts from the software. We're going to potentially switch data feeds or put on some filters. But overall, I'm going to send out the trades manually for now, and we'll finish getting the final little bugs here out of the system. And then we'll be back up and rocking full speed and get ready to start bringing on our trend analysis chart, very similar to this one over here, where it can show our oversold buy signals and our trend and all those things and move forward. So for now, just go to the members area and you can there's one portfolio there that will keep updated. If you have any questions on current positions, profit targets, they're all on there, and you can follow that for the next few days until we just work out some of these fine little bugs with the data feed. Now, let's take a look over at the equities market. This is the SP 500. You can see here over the last couple of days, we've dipped down twice into short-term oversold level. Both times we've seen a bounce off there. Today, equities are trading higher. You can see the SP 500 moving up today here a little bit. It's had a nice rally, bull flag, rally, a bigger bull flag. And this is kind of the first real pause and pullback in the market. You can see here we've got a nice, much longer pullback to the downside. We're starting to get closer to the 20-day, which typically acts as a support zone. As you get close to it, a certain area, it usually acts as resistance. When you get close to it on the upside, it'll act as support. And we had both the momentum and short-term cycles bottom out here over the last session, and now they're starting to move up today. So with any luck, we'll continue to see the cycles move up. This strong momentum can very much so continue to trade and hold its ground while this continues to go up to push to some new highs going forward. Now, if you take a look over at, let's pull up the chart of gold. Gold and silver mixed markets this morning. They're all over the place. They were up and then they're down. Silver's negative right now. Gold's positive. They're all over the place. If we take a look at the trend here, had a huge gap on gold. They kind of a gap and go, meaning it gapped and took off. And then we had another gap and go, another gap and go. When you have huge gaps and multiple gaps and strong runs to the upside, that is everyone chasing prices, and they don't care what they're paying to get in. They just want to get in, and that's when we get usually market tops, pullbacks or pause areas. And you could tell that just by the market sentiment, everyone talking about it, wanting it, thinking it's never going to stop. And of course, that's right when the market tops, just like Bitcoin about a year ago during the major market top. Same type of feeding frenzy. Now, overall, you look at the daily chart, you can see this blue line, it's resistance. We're struggling with it. Overall, gold's still holding up in a very tight pattern here. It could pop and run at any point, but the key here is we've hit this first resistance level and it's struggling a bit. And the big thing is, are we going to see more of a deeper correction and pull back and pause before it continues to go higher, which is definitely more bullish in my opinion. If it takes a breather here at resistance, typically it'll have a longer sustained move afterwards. Now, if we take a look over at miners, GDXJ, again, huge gap up in miners, and gaps tend to get filled with stocks. Usually you don't have a huge gap and it gets left behind. So we could still very much so see some type of pullback. Maybe it doesn't happen now. Maybe prices poke to a new high and then roll over and have a deeper correction later. But overall, there's this huge price gap in the chart. And we could see that get filled in the future. And overall, we're looking for potential pullback. Obviously, getting down into this gap window, this area here, could potentially give us a nice opportunity to re-add, get long into a new position for miners going forward. Looking over the US dollar is rolling over a little bit today. It's trying to put in a bounce. It's going to trade a little bit down, which is why I think we're seeing gold move up a bit this morning. But overall, if the dollar gets traction and continues to move up, then we're going to see the miners have that second little wave to the downside and pull back a little bit deeper. Looking over at energies, natural gas down 0.4% this morning, just kind of ping-ponging around. Overall, you can see here We're expecting the price reversal here. We're expecting prices to pop in relief and go higher. Obviously, our short-term trend analysis is saying to go short here, but we're using a bit different of a strategy. Overall, it feels as though it's going to pop and go to the upside. If we take a look at the price action here for UNG, or sorry, natural gas, we we got we got in down over here. We've got the first move up into resistance. This is going to be the first resistance area, the 20-day moving average, and right through here. We hit that target yesterday. The next target is right up near the upper end of this range, right up here. So we could see it pop and move up to there, and could hit our second target very quickly. Overall, you've got to get in. You've got to pull money off at the first area of resistance. It's the first point where a price can reverse and continue to follow its trend. So what we did is we got in, we got 2% on that move in about a day. Our stop is to break even. If price starts to roll over and sell off, then it's perfectly fine. We got a small piece of it, made some money, and we can potentially get back in or potentially short the market for the downside, and we can look to get into a new trade later. But if we do get a pop and we start to see it move up into this area, we can take our second target, and depending on how price moves there, we could potentially add to a position or get long later for a bigger move to the upside. But overall, we're just catching this oversold bounce with this reversal bar. The type of price action in the price range that we fell into is fairly significant, which is why we got this really strong bounce, and we think it has more potential to really unwind and pop to the upside to give us a much larger gain going forward. Taking a look over at crude oil. Crude oil, again, we think it's struggling here. It is in an uptrend. Don't really want to get long here, but it looks like it's going to continue to pop and go up to this 62. At this point, it's holding up very nicely at all the key moving averages. It's now above all that moving averages. And it's also, if we take a look at the price here, it is still holding above all these key areas. This resistance area, it's still working through it, but it looks like today or tomorrow it could, or the next trading session here, could really pop and relief to the upside. This will be really significant, I think, resistance area. When it hits that, we could see a quick pullback and for it to consolidate and chop around for a little while. Anyways, that's it for this morning. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye.